The story begins in the deserts of La Guera, Colombia, where a group of smugglers heads toward the wreckage of a recently downed small plane. As they search, they discover a mysterious box. One of them approaches the plane, finding a woman with European features who seems to have died in the crash. A dark impulse takes over one smuggler, who begins to harass the woman's body, a decision he will regret in his next life. The woman's name is Dominique. She fled Ukraine, seeking a fresh start in South America, but trouble always finds her. She has radical ways of handling it. Dominique spares the last smuggler only because he speaks English and offers to help her transport a heavy box, whose contents remain undisclosed. After loading the box into his jeep, he asks if he can leave, but she refuses. Despite the delay, Dominique remains focused on her goal of reaching the city of Santa Marta. Along the way, she hides the box in a secure location and disposes of the jeep to avoid being linked to the smugglers. That night, she stops at a bar filled with thugs and suspicious characters. The only seemingly decent person is Julio Perón, who asks why she is in the town of San Lucas. Once an ideal destination, the town is now under cartel control, making it unsafe, especially for a woman. But Dominique is no ordinary woman. Under the influence of alcohol, the night ends with an intimate encounter between Dominique and Julio, where her dominant personality becomes evident. At dawn, Dominique notices hidden scars beneath his hair that have yet to fully heal. When Julio wakes, he offers to make her breakfast, but she is focused only on buying a car. At that moment, Dominique receives a work-related phone call about a small plane. Meanwhile, Julio dons a police uniform, one she recognizes all too well, no matter the country. He promises to help her buy a car when he returns, but asks her to stay at his home with his sister, Paulina, and her children. Since her husband's death, Pina has relied on Julio for occasional support. However, Dominique isn't interested in socializing and instead attempts to steal the family car. Caught in the act by Pina, she claims she was looking for the bathroom. Pina instructs her son, Lucas, to accompany her. This leads Dominique to meet the rest of the family: Abel, the eldest daughter, Juana, the youngest daughter, and Pedro, the grandfather, who blesses the relationship, mistakenly believing she is Julio's girlfriend. Meanwhile, Julio is at the police station, investigating the smugglers' bodies. According to his colleagues, the smugglers were found dead near the small plane, but they were not aboard it. The pilot of the small plane managed to kill the smugglers after the crash. At that moment, Julio recognizes one of the deceased, Hector, the brother-in-law of the local police chief, Santiago. Everyone realizes they must find whoever is responsible for this incident. Among the few items recovered from the plane, Julio notices a booklet written in a European language and a used cigarette filter. This triggers a memory of someone with a love for smoking. Meanwhile, Dominique suffers from severe dizziness while in the bathroom, exacerbated by the sound of an argument between Paulina and her children. Overwhelmed by the pain, she stumbles out of the bathroom and collapses in front of the family. During her unconscious state, she recalls her days in Ukraine, when her husband, Anatoly, was escorting her to the airport, assuring her that no one would find her. However, they were intercepted by assassins, sent by a mysterious figure who shot Anat to death. Dominique's fear dissipates, replaced by a thirst for vengeance. She violently confronts the assassins. Just when she believes she has dealt with them all, one surprises her with a bullet to the head. Despite this, she manages to turn the situation in her favor, using a blade. Dominique awakens to find herself in the present, being treated by Dr. Medina, a friend of the Piran family. Once she recovers, she gathers her belongings, intending to leave. However, Julio, returning from work, persuades her to stay for dinner. Reluctantly, Dominique agrees, but only for dinner, as the family atmosphere doesn't suit her. She barely finishes her meal before requesting Julio to take her to a repair shop. He is unable to assist her as he is called back to the police station to interrogate two suspects tied to the plane crash. Fortunately for Dominique, Pina offers to drive her to the city. During the ride, Dominique notices that Hanana, Pina's youngest daughter, has been silently observing her since her arrival. Paulina reveals that Juana hasn't spoken a word since her father died of a heart attack at the dinner table. Elsewhere, two American tourists wandering in the desert are detained by Police Chief Santiago. Believing they are involved in Hector's death, Santiago orders one to be thrown into a pit of acid to force the other to confess, while Julio stands by, unable to intervene. Dominique arrives at the repair shop and finds an old Jeep that might be functional with some repairs. The mechanic estimates it will take 3 days to fix, but she offers $10,000 to have it ready within 24 hours. That night, after a family gathering, Dominique hopes to spend time with Julio. However, he leaves the house without a word, preoccupied with something urgent. He possesses a video recording showing the execution of the second American tourist under Santiago's orders. This video is part of an extensive archive of evidence proving that the Cross Cartel uses the police force as their personal execution squad. Julio hands over this evidence to an internal affairs agent in exchange for protection for his family and safe passage to the United States. The information is meant to reach the CIA. Before the deal is finalized, Julio is ambushed by a group of masked men and taken down. Julio wakes up in the clutches of Santiago, who threatens him with dire consequences unless he reveals the location of the backup copies of the incriminating video. Santiago makes it clear that if Julio doesn't cooperate, his sister and nephew will face horrific deaths, preceded by unimaginable torture. The next morning, the Piran family wakes to a horrifying sight at their gate: a severed head. Police officers watch with satisfaction as the family recoils in fear, but their smugness falters when they notice Dominique. She shows no weakness or tears. Instead, she immediately takes action. With the help of the family patriarch, Pedro, Dominique uses the body of a large officer as a shield and retaliates. Once the police run out of ammunition, she secures Julio's laptop, containing damning evidence against Santiago and his men. Leaving the laptop with the family, she resumes her journey, indifferent to their pleas for her to stay. After many failed attempts to convince her, Abel loses her temper and accuses Dominique of being cold and emotionless. Struck by this outburst, Dominique asks Abel if she's ready to learn how to defend herself. When Santiago learns that an American woman was responsible for his officers' deaths, he orders the neighborhood to be sealed off and personally sets out to confront her. Upon meeting Dominique, he offers a deal: hand over the laptop, and she'll be allowed to leave. However, he makes it clear that the Piran family will not be spared under any circumstances. Dominique refuses and declares war. As the final battle unfolds, Dominique and the Piran family fight for their lives. Despite heavy casualties, she manages to outwit Santiago's forces. The family, however, is nearly wiped out. Only Dominique survives to deliver the final blow to Santiago. With justice served, she retrieves her jeep and the hidden box, revealing an arsenal of weapons. Armed and determined, she sets out on a new mission.
If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Movie Story for more amazing movie recaps. Let us know in the comments which movie you'd like us to cover next. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next one.